Everyone, it's John from WoTUp. Welcome back to another video. Tonight we have some Wheel of Time news for you. So we're going to start off with an interview with Alexandre Willaume that he did with the podcast. Now they put up a YouTube video and he talks a little bit about being Thom Merrlin and answers some questions. Then we'll move on to a VFX article that was recently released that sort of kind of vindicates me and something I said a long time ago when I reviewed episode 8. I made a comment and got roasted pretty bad for it, but we'll get to that when we get to that article. Then we're going to talk just a bit about Gathertown. Now, when Wheel of Time dropped on Amazon Prime, Prime Australia did an event called Gathertown. It was this online event with 8-bit RPG characters, and there was an Easter egg hunt and a big contest. Now, the winner of the contest actually sent me a bunch of pictures of the prize because they got it last week, and it's gorgeous. I'll show you those pictures and we'll talk a bit about that. And then we're going to finish it all off with an article put out by Deadline, and then kind of this article went everywhere that basically implies that Rafe Judkins might be leaving Wheel of Time to do a different show. Now, we're going to talk about that. I actually reached out to Amazon and a bunch of other people, and I got some unofficial statements from executives, and we'll tell you what they said about this particular article and what it means for the future of Wheel of Time. Now, all of that being said, if you're new to the channel, you don't know what I do here, I cover Wheel of Time show news, obviously, and I do a bunch of other Wheel of Time content too, so if you like that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe. And before we get into the video, spoiler warning, in this video we're talking about elements of Season 1 of Sony and Amazon's Wheel of Time show, so if you haven't watched all 8 episodes, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin parts from each and every one of them. I'm also going to ruin parts from the first 2 books, that's The Eye of the World and The Great Hunt, so if you haven't read those, well, you've been warned. Alright, let's get on to the video. All right, so I'm going to mention something that I forgot to talk about in the intro, and that is WoTUp t-shirts. Currently, to this point, the only way to get them was either, I sent them to you, obviously. Some of the cast has them, some of the people at Amazon and Sony production team have them, of course. You could win a contest, so there's been a couple of contests where I sent out these shirts, or you're a top-tier patron on my channel, and I sent out a t-shirt to those people. But I am moving to having a store. That's going to happen over the next month or two. It is in the works, I do promise you. I'm outsourcing it, though. I'm not actually going to host the store myself, so I just have to find the time to send them all the images and choose what I want and whatnot. That'll happen soon. But because of that, I do have an excess of these t-shirts kind of kicking around because I bought a ton of them in anticipation of selling them on a store. I'm not going to host the store, so what I will do for a limited time, with the limited supply I have, is I will sell them. Now, I only have a limited supply of certain sizes, so if you folks want to buy one, absolutely cool. Message me either on Twitter or on Instagram. I have my social media is down below in the description box. DM me there, and we'll figure out a way that you can make a one-time donation on Patreon, and then I can ship the shirts off to you, get your information and stuff that way, since I don't have a store and you can't buy them that way. But remember, I do have a limited supply, so if you want one, let me know. They're going to go for $25 a piece, and if you want more than one, of course, it'll be cut rate for the second because that includes shipping. So there you go. All right. So we're going to start off here with an interview that Bingtown TV did with Alexandre Willaume, the person that plays Thom Merrlin. This is really cool. Now, they did reach out to me, and I listened to some of their podcasts, and they're absolutely entertaining. So you want to go listen to them, give them a follow, make sure you're listening to their podcast, and I've left a link to the podcast and the YouTube channel down below in the description box. And of course, they're talking to people like Alexandre Willaume. They're doing things that I only dream of. I have had a couple of interviews here on the channel, but I haven't had any of the main cast, nor do I think I ever will. I would love that, but I don't think it's actually in the cards for me, so I have to live vicariously through people like Bingtown TV. So go over and give them a listen and a follow. Now, I want to talk about a couple of elements of the interview that I thought were very, very interesting. Now, when Thom Merrlin was first released to the public, especially with his guitar, there was mixed reactions. Some of the hardcore fans did not like the fact that there was any changes made. This was, of course, long before the show aired, and we realized there was a ton of changes. We only knew a few things at this time. And nobody thought that he really looked the part. Everyone expected Sam Elliott or someone who looks just like Sam Elliott to play the part. So he was asked if the guitar was his idea because Alexandre Willaume does play the guitar, and I think on the upswing to the show, the last couple months before the show aired, we were talking about it a few times here on the channel, and I'd mentioned that more than likely, he plays the guitar, so they made that decision because he plays the guitar. And that was not the case. So it was more of a creative decision by production than Alexandre Willaume himself. But he was very honest about how he got the role. So essentially, he said KVH Casting reached out to him, and they only really reach out to him when they're not getting what they want, or they can't get what they want for a certain role, and they have him audition. So they did this for Thom Merrlin, and he looked up the character, and he read about the mustaches and the Gleeman's cloak and all the other stuff and the harp and things, and he said, that's not me. I'm going to do my own complete different take on the character, because you can imagine that all of the casting tapes are going to kind of look exactly the same. He wanted to do his own thing and play it his own way. And what we saw on screen was sort of what he gave for the casting tape, and he says he has no intentions in the future of going back to a book Thom Merrlin, because what he did played so well and flowed so well for him. That is the character to him. So kudos to Alexandre Willaume for taking that chance, because even though it was different, it was one of the better performances, in my opinion, of the entire first season, because a lot of people just fell in love with him completely. He played it more of a cowboy way, and it was absolutely awesome. So anyway, go take a listen to the interview, and there's a whole lot of other really good information in there, and it's really fun. All right, so now we're going to talk just a bit about this. This is an Art of VFX article. I've left a link to it down below in the description box. I'm not going to go through the whole article. If you want to read it, you go right ahead. I've covered a few other ones from Art of VFX here on the channel, especially when they interview Wheel of Time people. But there's one thing I wanted to pick out of this entire article. When episode 8 came out, I don't know if it was in my review or my breakdown, but I mentioned that the Fade looked to be female. And I got roasted pretty hard for that on Twitter. Dragged a little bit in my comments. People thought I was absolutely insane that I even mentioned that, because in the books, it actually states that there are no known, and we're using the word known here, there are no known female Fades. There's no known ones. When the throwback to human stock happens when Trollocs mate and they get a Fade, it was generally believed that they're always men and they're always sterile. They think. Now, this was never a definite, it was never set in stone, there is none. It was generally believed there was none. And of course, I said, well, that Fade looked feminine to me, and I got roasted a little bit for it, because that can't be, of course. But in this article, directly in the article, it states to talk about the Fade that she is female. So, I was right. Pretty neat anyway. It was also kind of a neat thing that Alitza, the one that does the art and the graphic design for my channel, she mentioned the exact same thing to me around the same time, and I believe that's why I mentioned it in one of my videos. Is because she had said that it looks female, and I went back and watched it. I was like, yeah, absolutely, I do see the female characteristics of the Fade. So yeah, hats off to you, Alitza. You get that correct. I did as well. So really, really neat. But anyway, go take a look at the article. It's down below in the description box if you want to read the rest of it. There's a lot of really good information about the trials and tribulations they had, making the VFX for it, and a lot of little nitpicky things and neat little tidbits about the VFX adaptation process for the show. Pretty cool. All right, now we're going to talk about Gathertown. Now, I did mention this earlier, and this is a really, really neat thing that they did. Long before the show aired, Wheel of Time Australia held a contest partnered with Gathertown. Now, Gathertown, if you don't know what it is an online community with avatars. So you sort of navigate like an RPG-ish type world. And I said in the intro, it's 8-bit. I'm sure people have already roasted me in the comments for that a little bit. It looks more 16-bit, more Chrono Trigger-esque, I guess you'd say. It was a whole lot of fun. I logged in, made your avatar. It was one of the Wheel of Time characters. You interact with other people. There were a bunch of different places, 2 rivers, a whole bunch of different places you could go to that are within the show, as well as the books. You could talk to the characters. It was a good time. Now, when this happened, there was a bunch of contests and things you could do inside Gathertown, and this was to attract people to it and kind of promote the show. And Wheel of Time Australia ran one of these contests where this giant friggin' cabinet was the grand prize. Now, this giant friggin' cabinet, that's how I'm going to refer to it, is a giant friggin' cabinet, was won by Sir Remick, a Twitter of Time member. He reached out to me and let me know that he won, showed me all the pictures, and of course I'm sharing them here with you folks on the channel because I geeked out a whole lot seeing them and I want to share them with you folks. So I left Sir Remick's Twitter tag down below in the description box. If you folks have Twitter and want to follow him out there, like I said earlier, Twitter Time's a great place. I plugged it in a bunch of my videos a bunch of times because I'm on a lot, everyone else is on a lot, and it's a welcome break from today's world with all the stuff going on. Just basically a whole bunch of character accounts, people talking about Wheel of Time. That's pretty much it. So if you like Wheel of Time, it's a great place. So this giant friggin' cabinet shows up at Sir Remick's house, and he opens it up, and look, like there's some cool lights. It's mirrored. It's absolutely gorgeous when you look inside it. But what is not here, what's not pictured, is part of the prize. Now, they were told that part of the prize was misshipped, so it didn't come with the cabinet. It was supposed to, but it didn't. And that is an actual show-used prop of Matt's dagger. That's not even the whole prize. That would be more than enough for a prize, in my opinion, but that's crazy. A show-used Matt's dagger, that would be up here on the shelf forever. Just no one would ever get to touch it, but we look at it every day, and I'd make the family look at it. It'd be absolutely amazing. So that was one of the prizes that came in this in this giant friggin' cabinet. And another prize was an actual Aes Sedai ring. Now, there's a certificate of authenticity here. They made 15 of these things, and they gave them out as prizes and to other people. A few of them were featured on Twitter of Time way back when the show released. Some people got them from the premiere. a few people got these rings, all different Ajas, and super jealous again because as of now, there still is no real Wheel of Time merch. You can buy hoodies and t-shirts and stuff, but that's all. And that's mainly because of supply chain issues and the fact that they kind of underestimated how difficult it would be to get this stuff out to the market, and Sony's in charge of the marketing for the show. And not just the marketing for the show, rather. They're in charge of the merchandising for the show. I misspoke there. So we should see some stuff for season 2 is what I was told, and I've said that a couple times here on the channel, but I'm hoping we get stuff like this. And here's the ring in a really neat looking box. Even the box, I mean, everything is just so well made and so beautiful. This would be absolutely cool to have in your house. And then, of course, came with the drinks and glasses so you can celebrate getting this giant freaking cabinet. And this is what it looks like. All together here, you have the ring, the drinks, and then you have the box for the dagger. The book series is in here as well. I mean, just absolutely everything is there. Really neat. I want to thank Ceramic for sharing this with us. And again, his Twitter's down below in the description box if you want to follow them over there. Absolutely a lot of fun on Twitter time. Okay, so I'm sure at this point a lot of you are waiting with bated breath. No pun intended. Yeah, it was kind of clickbaity for me to say these things, but it's true. All right, so Deadline released an article, and Bleeding Cool and a couple of other places picked it up and went with it. I've linked the Deadline article down below in the description box if you folks want to read it. But when I read the article, I get very concerned. Of course I did. Everyone did that read it that was part of the Wheel Time fandom, because we might be losing our showrunner. And that's how initially I read it, because I read it quickly and I got upset. A lot of other people did too. Then I read it again a couple of times, and I realized that a lot of the words they use are very ambiguous. They're not definite. There's a lot of specific terms used there, like under negotiation, things like that. Rafe's name's in the ring, basically, is what it is. So I reached out to a few people I know over at Amazon. A couple of them got back to me, and they're allowing me to use a couple of quotes here, anonymously, of course. In the first one, and this is probably the most important quote I'm going to give you, is this. Rafe is a bit like Brandon Sanderson. He doesn't have an off switch and is always working. So everyone I've ever talked to that knows Rafe Judkins says the same things about him. He's an amazing person. He's super nice. He advocates for the cast, the crew, production team, everything. He's a big fan. He advocates for a lot of different things. He fights for what he believes is right, and he is the hardest working person they ever met. He's just go, 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 constant all of the time. So it doesn't shock me that he would put his name in the ring for another big fantasy property. Not at all. Why not? Why wouldn't you? What I can tell you as well is the people I did reach out to at Amazon had no idea until this article came out this was happening, but that's not a big surprise, because if you're looking at other jobs, why would you announce it? I'm going to go look for other jobs. Most people would never do that, especially if it's just a in case or a nice or maybe, right? So we're going to give you a little history lesson here on what's going on and what this could be. So Sony and Amazon have a long history of partnerships. So they've done a lot of things before. Wheel of Time is not the first, nor will it be the last. And Amazon is starting sort of a genre gaming division type thing for the streaming service. They're doing Mass Effect. They're doing Fallout. They're doing a bunch of different video games, including God of War. Now, God of War is currently under negotiation, so they're still in very, very early stages of talks. Why would Rafe Judkins' name be attached to this article? Why would they even consider him when he's doing the Wheel of Time? Well, if you have another huge property like God of War that's going to be absolutely massive, that's fantasy-esque based, and it is. I played the game a bunch. I love the God of War series. I've played most of them. Why wouldn't you want an established showrunner that's already proven himself? Because you got to understand, at this point, we have 2 months left in filming for Wheel of Time, as reported by WatSeries.com today. Geeky Area actually tweeted that today. They're going to be in Morocco for 2 months. Till the end of April, they're filming. And that should be the end of Season 2, but then they have reshoots, and then they have other things after that, and then they have post-production. So when I was told we're getting it second quarter 2023, that's looking more and more likely, especially with Lord of the Rings coming this fall. So he'll have at least 2 full seasons of the show under his belt. Now, of course, they're already doing things for season 3. They're doing the scripts, they're scouting locations, they're talking about how the story's going to flow, they're building the world, and he's heavily involved in that. So if this is in the very early negotiation stages, he's probably going to at least do season 3 as well. If not season 4 too, depending on how quickly they go through things. If he takes this job, if he decides to leave Wheel of Time. So it's really super smart for Amazon to go, you started Wheel of Time, you did all the heavy lifting, pass it off to somebody else, come do the heavy lifting over here because you've already proven that you can do it. And they want to take a proven fantasy showrunner to do something for another big property rather than, rolling the dice with someone new. It's my 2 cents anyway. All right, so that's pretty much all the news I have for you today. Let me know what you folks think in the comments down below. First off, what do you think about the filming schedule? 2 months in Morocco. What can they be filming for 2 months in Morocco? Now, remember my last news video, we talked just a bit about the locations. I speculated Falme, the Stone, the Aiel Waste, a few different places like that, but 2 full months of shooting there, that's a long time to film 2 episodes. So there's got to be a fair bit there that they're doing. And then reshoots afterwards, of course. Second quarter 2023. What do you folks think about that? I keep hearing that over and over again, and I'm pretty sure that's when we're going to see it. I hope for sooner, obviously, but it's quite possible. All right. Thank you all very much for sticking with me here to the very end. Here's to many more.